fear is kind of what keeps them from making a move. And it's like waiting for the perfect rate, waiting for the perfect house, waiting for the perfect market. None of that exists.
It's that expectations versus reality, and waiting could end up costing you in the long run.
Waiting can feel safe, but it's usually probably one of the most expensive things you can do.
Before, the best time to buy real estate was 10 years ago. The second best time's today.
Yeah, people that are winning aren't getting lucky. They're making decisions. They're being decisive.
One of the girl's daughters on TikTok.
Yeah.
Have you seen her?
I've been following her.
Dude, and so I did it.
Dude,
I was
this
watching all of her.
Dude, it's so great. Subab or like Subab's daughter or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And remember the kid that was like,
Dennis is
yeah,
this.
fuck you, Dennis.
Fuck you,
Like,
Dennis.
yeah, he's on there, dude. It's so good. So like, I was like, dude, that is hilarious.
Yeah, bro. I wish we could put this out on the podcast because like this is awesome. Like this is
That
my
is
jam.
funny.
Like that. I'll probably enjoy that. I call it a documentary because that's exactly what it is.
It is a documentary.
I
yeah.
enjoy it way too much.
So funny.
When she goes through the Taco Bell, like in high school, we quoted that.
Yeah.
It was like you go through drive-thru, he's like, you got any mozzarella sticks? Like, what? It's Taco Bell, no. CPS took her baby. That's why she's crying.
Yeah, and
She's
through the
like-
window,
yeah, she's like,
he's like, what? She's upset.
yeah. They took her baby. Like, it's so good.
Oh,
Maybe if you guys could
Jesus.
just clip that and send that to us for our own personal use.
Oh, that's good.
That is pretty good. So got the shorts out today.
Yeah, nice. You got the J's on.
The J's on. The shorts are out. First
They're
shorts of the
sweet.
season.
Yeah.
Spring break's here. Are you doing anything for? Got any spring break plans?
Yeah. We are going to Gulf Shores. Usually we'll go to Destin. This year we're switching up a little bit, going to Gulf Shores. So us, a couple of our neighbors, renting a big house, going down there.
That's cool.
Should be fun. Excited. Haven't been anywhere, I don't think, since last spring break. So
It's hard to get away.
need to get away. Need
it's
to
tough.
get away.
It's tough.
Yeah.
So that kind of leads to what? So like, that makes me think like what factors do you think drives the real estate market?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, interest rates play a role, obviously, but people tend to think that interest rates are the main driver of the market, and that's just not true. What actually drives the market is job change, death, divorce, downsizing, aging parents, lifestyle changes, all of that life stuff. That's really truly what drives the markets. Yeah, interest rates, supply, demand, all that plays a role, but life is what really drives the market. You see it the same way?
Yeah, I do. I mean, do you think like things like spring break? We're talking about spring break. Do you think like local things like local events like that? Do you think that shifts the market in any way?
I mean, I do for sure. It's funny though. I don't think it was spring break when we bought our house that we're in now, but it was right before I was taking a trip somewhere. Like literally the day I was going out of town, the house popped up that was perfect for us. Called Roseanne, we ran to see it, put in an offer, and then immediately went out of town for like 4 days. So I think those situations happen and are funny, but yeah, I mean, spring break is obviously a big deal for a lot of people, and they travel, they're out of town. I have a lot of listings getting ready to hit, and I'm telling them all we need to wait till spring break's over. So, again, that sort of thing, rates, vacations, that influences timing. Sure, it has an effect on decision making, but it's really, life events that truly, truly drive the market.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, on the flip side, it could be if you're out in the market shopping during spring break when everybody's out gone, doing things, could be a really cool time to buckle down and go out and
Typically speaking, though, I see it a big rush, a flood of inventory post spring break. It seems like that's kind of a big benchmark where people wait and list after.
Yeah.
And then obviously the next big one is once schools are out. A lot of people tend to move and look to transact that time of year once school's out.
Yeah. No, I see it the same way too. I think it's all. That's why, for me, it's like it's hard to get ahead trying to time the market.
Yeah, you can't.
You almost get ahead by being in it.
Yep.
They're waiting for the right time. Waiting for the right time can cost you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like what drives the market is like you were saying, all those life events. Like the same thing. The same thing for buyers, right? It's like trying to time the market perfectly. Buyers or sellers, trying to time the market perfectly.
Well, the market influences timing, but life is what forces the decision, right? It's just like trading stocks, And I saw a chart the other day that was talking about, and who knows, it's probably on Twitter, so it might not be accurate, right? But it's talking about the last 20 years, and it broke down if you were in the market at a position for that entire time versus if you missed like the 7 most important days, the difference in your portfolio and how it would have looked, right?
Yeah.
So real estate's a little bit like that. I mean, it's really tough to time the market. There's no magic pill, no crystal ball, right? We see trends, and as experts in our field, we're following trends and seeing what's developing and where we think the market's headed, but nobody truly knows, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just like a month ago, we're all jazzed up, excited. Interest rates just finally got below 6. And then boom, what happens? Freaking war, right? Yep. And now that's influencing the market. Rates have gone back up. Don't get me wrong. I think everything settles down and rates improve and we're going to have a fantastic year. But point being, there's no crystal ball. You don't know where this is going. And you don't obviously want to just be reactionary and react to it, but in some ways you have to. And if you're looking to time the market and be perfect, you're going to miss that window.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think waiting for the right time is impossible to do. And I really feel like people that are like waiting on the right time or are stuck in fear a little bit.
Yeah.
I think fear is kind of what keeps them from making a move. And it's like waiting for the perfect rate, waiting for the perfect house, waiting for the perfect market. None of that exists. None of that exists at all. And then meanwhile you're waiting, equities building, your rent's going up. The whole time you're waiting and stuck in fear, there are these factors, these changes. You're losing equity, your rent's going up.
Well, it's expectations versus reality, right? Barring, major calamity, house prices have appreciated, right, since 2011, 12, right? Since the major downturn and all the problems we have had, prices have increased steadily. And although they feel like they flattened a little, they're not going down anytime soon. As long as inventory and demand are where they are and you have more people looking to buy than you have houses for sale, it's going to appreciate. So, it's that expectations versus reality, and waiting could end up costing you in the long run, right? Interest rates are going to come down, we hope, but you don't know that, one. And two, the house is going to be worth more, right? So if it makes sense for your situation to make a move, the earlier the better. It's like we talked about before, the best time to buy real estate was 10 years ago, the second best time's today.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, waiting can feel safe, but it's usually probably one of the most expensive things you can do.
Yeah, and I mean, it's tough because you meet clients every day that have these expectations in their minds of what their money gets them, right? And what's out there. And then it's reality sets in when we meet with them and we show them what is actually on the market, right? And how often we meet with clients that, they think they can get exactly what they want for a number in a certain price point, and there's nothing, right? And not only is there nothing, but you show them the data and it's like, well, there have been 7 opportunities like what you're looking for in the last year. And so you're looking at potentially one every couple months, and with prices appreciating and interest rates going down, that could shrink even more, right? So again, it's just trying to help them understand, what is really out there, and helping, meet that reality from their expectations.
Absolutely. And that makes a good point. I see a lot of people too, not being decisive, being indecisive, trying to like wait for that better house or wait for that better thing. And it's like people that are winning aren't getting lucky. They're making decisions. They're not, they're being decisive. I mean, they're making fast, good decisions. Because you can get stuck in that what if something better comes up kind of mindset, and I think that can cost you as well.
Yeah, not only that, and I mean, we've talked about this a ton. It's my role as an advisor, right? Like I am 100% trying to help my client make the best decision for them and their situation. But I'm also very analytical, right? I'm a data-driven person. So I dive into the comps, right? And I help them understand from a historical perspective how that price of the home they're considering is. And sometimes it's right in line, sometimes it's a little high, right? But you can't just get stuck on comps, because like we've seen the last decade with an appreciating market, if this is the right move for your situation, to a point, the comps are irrelevant, right? If you were going to be there 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 years, it doesn't really matter as long as you're within reason, right?
I agree.
If it's a situation where you seriously have to consider selling in a year, 2, 3 years.
That's the first question I always ask my clients.
Exactly.
It's like, what is your plan buying this house? Because that's going to change our strategy.
Yep.
Like what you tell me. So think about what you're about to tell me. Like, don't give me this generic answer. Like, what is your plan? Because it's impossible to set and say what a house is worth down to the penny. Like it just doesn't work that way.
It's not like pricing a car or pricing anything else. It is truly an open market, what a buyer is willing to pay and what a seller is willing to sell for. It's a meeting of the minds.
100%.
It is not like pricing, a bag of chips.
It's like pricing a snowflake because no two are the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they're all different in their own way, and beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And so it's like you can get it close based on comps, but like there are no two houses that are the same. And I always like kind of coach my clients on like focus on the monthly payment and focus on, like if you plan on selling this in 2 or 3 years, we definitely need to be more strategic about the price. Yeah. But if you love the house and you're getting caught up because you think we're overpaying by like $5,000 or $6,000 or $10,000 even, like for one, $10,000 almost barely affects your rate, like your monthly payment. Like it doesn't change much of anything. Like I try to tell my clients, if you love this house, this is the one you see your family in for the next 10 to 15 years, don't lose this over 10 grand. Don't lose this over 5 grand.
Yeah.
Because you're going to look back and what you don't realize is doesn't change much, if anything at all.
Yep.
So,
yep. And I mean, we've talked a lot on the buyer side about, expectations versus reality in the market, but, it's just as important on the seller side, right? And, we've talked a lot about where people get it wrong. And, I would say that the biggest area I see sellers make mistakes and get it wrong is momentum, right? And creating momentum.
Oh, yeah.
It's momentum's either created or it's lost, right? And your biggest opportunity for momentum is that first 7 days on the market. That first week will make or break your sale.
Well, like they say, first impressions make or break you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, we've talked before on here about the 3 Ps, right? Like preparation, presentation, price. For your situation, you want to prepare the property to sell as best as possible and what makes sense. And the more you can do to get it ready, to prepare it, the better. Presentation is where we come in, right? That is us, taking the wonderful photos and the video and presenting it to the market, right? Getting the most amount of eyes on it. And then price is very collaborative, right? It is us meeting with our sellers, informing them of what's going on in the market, what their neighbors' homes have sold and are selling for, what our competition is, and then deciding our pricing strategy. And again, something we've talked about before, your 3 pricing strategies are aspirational, market-based pricing, or event-based pricing. Aspirational is, okay, my neighbor's house sold for $325, but my backyard is 10 feet bigger. So we're listing at $350, right?
Yeah.
And we can come down later if we don't get it, but we think our house is so much nicer. That's one strategy. I'll talk about why I don't think it's a great strategy, but that is something that's very common where sellers would like to list higher than what they think it's worth and come down if they don't get the results they're wanting.
I hear it all the time. We can go down, but we can't go up.
Exactly.
And it's like, that's not true. Not in this,
You've lost all your momentum.
Not on
right?
this side of the fence.
So we'll go right into that then. That's a good point. You lose your momentum by pricing above where it's going to sell for. We have come out of the immediate post-pandemic market where you could almost put any price on a house and people were going to buy it, right? We're getting to a more normalized market where inventory is getting to, again, that historical, closer to at least that balanced market. Not quite there yet. It's still a little shy of what we would consider a balanced market, but the days of aspirational pricing are over, right? You lose all your momentum. And so some of the pitfalls I see, right? It's, that overpricing to leave room. It is the agent you hire, right? Maybe hiring a friend or a family member or somebody that doesn't have the experience or isn't ready to have that conversation with you, or just hiring the agent that tells you the highest price, right? That tells you what you want to hear to get the listing. And that's usually when we're hearing from somebody in a couple months when it hasn't sold and wondering why. And it's all those decisions they make up front.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Market-based pricing is obviously where, you price according to comps and what the market is going to bear and what you think the house is truly worth. And then event-based pricing is pricing just under where you think that is worth to create demand, to create momentum, to hopefully sell for an even higher price with even better terms than you would going at market-based or aspirational. Choosing between the 3, that's a decision you've got to make with your client, right? Depending on their situation. But when I look at an aspirational model versus an event-based model, event usually far outweighs the aspirational because, again, it's about building momentum. It's about getting excitement for your property. And I'm not saying people should price their homes 20, 30, 40 grand below what it's worth.
No, absolutely.
But just a little bit can have a huge momentum boost.
I think people forget that this is an emotional sale.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot of emotions that go into it. And, I've seen people spend emotional money. I've seen people spend emotional money. And so my strategy that I like to use is like you just said, I like the event-based pricing. I like the at-market pricing. Because again, from the seller standpoint, if I'm representing my seller, my job is to obviously get you the very most money possible out of your house.
With the best terms. With
the best terms. And I know for a shadow of a doubt, overpricing it is not the way to do that.
Well,
no, there are some scenarios where it's like, there are some scenarios because just like we talked about, you don't know exactly what a home is worth. And there may be some scenarios where you can see it going both ways, right? You can see it hitting at that at market pricing. You can see it maybe going a little bit higher. Maybe you do the old classic, hit it right in the middle. You know what I mean? But for the most part, going at market or below market produces far by none the best results.
Yeah,
because people spend that emotional money. Because it's sometimes buyers knows a property is underpriced, but by how much is hard to say. And if you can get 2 or 3 buyers that really want this property, that's how you can actually take the price up. Maybe even higher than starting out at your aspirational piece, as long as your agent knows how to handle those situations, because it's pretty intense. And when you've got 3 agents all kind of coming at you, trying to get their offer accepted, You got to know where to apply pressure, when to use leverage, how to use leverage in order to get that result. Because I've seen agents do it wrong, and you have all this interest, and then they lose momentum when they could have, they could have really pushed that
Yeah,
price.
I mean, overpricing doesn't create leverage; it kills it, right?
100%.
Yeah, and if again, I'm choosing between an event and an aspirational model. I'm going to go with the event every time, because if I'm wrong and your property is worth the aspirational price you think it is, the event price is going to get that and maybe better, right?
Yeah.
And if you're wrong and your aspirational thoughts and pricing model is wrong, then you've killed your momentum. You're chasing the market down. The market's not chasing you, and you ultimately don't end up, with the best price and terms you would have got. So again, it's not a science, right? It's not an exact
100%.
science.
And two, leverage just isn't about pricing.
No.
It's more about like who controls the situation. And so again, that's why overpricing your home, you almost immediately lose leverage out of the gate. While hitting your pricing below or at the market value keeps leverage in your court, right? It gives you something to negotiate with. But it's really hard. It's almost every single time you go to the market overpriced, you're losing leverage right out of the gate.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point too about that event model sometimes producing fantastic results where you get major competition, a bunch of offers, and then having a listing agent that understands how to handle and navigate that. I can't stress to you enough how important that is. How many times, even recently, I've found myself on the buy side of that, right? With a listing agent that wasn't, maybe super experienced in handling those situations. And those can get confrontational between agents, and it's not supposed to be. Your job as a listing agent is to get your client the best price and terms you possibly can. And yes, those situations can be tough to navigate as a listing agent when you have 30 people blowing you up for information and you've got a ton of offers coming in. But I would stress for agents, be kind, right? Like, understand the position that the buyer's agents are in, and the good buyer's agents because again, something else we've talked about as a buyer's agent, it's not necessarily my job to get you the lowest price possible, right? In those competitive environments, it's about winning, and it's about finding out as much information as I can, and then be able to give you that information so we can make a decision on whether it makes sense for you to pursue this house or not. What is it going to take to win, and how do we get there? And so a good buyer's agent does that. And again, when you have a lot of them coming at you on the listing agent side, it can be frustrating, right? But you've got to be able to handle that and navigate it, because ultimately you don't know who's going to bring the best offer, right?
You have no idea.
You have no idea.
And
you got to be able to get that out of them. You have to be able to work with them and push those buttons and leave that door open and get them to the absolute highest offer you think you can. And then if you've done that with all of them, you've done your job.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, because I remember getting, when I first started in this business, it can be a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It can absolutely be a lot, and you can get a little emotional about it. And it's like I've learned over the years of just being in those situations a lot, and we're all just doing our job. Like, we're all representing our clients to the best that we possibly can. But yeah, so I mean, I've been in situations to where the listing agent has costed their client $15,000
by not knowing how to handle it.
Because my clients, if giving the opportunity, would have beat the highest and best offer by 10 to 15,000 in cash. Right. And it's like we first started negotiations. There was just one party involved. And then before we could, we're negotiating for a day, maybe 2 days, right? We're getting close on price and terms. Boom, this other offer comes in, and they immediately take it without giving us a chance at all. And it's like I've been driving out to properties before, been going on my way to a showing, and I get a call from the listing agent. Sorry, we just accepted an offer. And it's like, do you have any idea if you would have called me, if I would have known that, if you would have just called me? I never let my clients accept an offer if we have showings on deck. Now, maybe it's so good, like we need to take this offer.
Yeah, it depends.
But even in that situation, I call the agent and I'm like, hey, look, here's the deal. We have a really good offer on the table.
Yeah.
Like, we'd be dumb not to take it. Can you guys get there today? You're scheduled to go tomorrow, but is there any way you can get there today?
Yeah.
Like, tell me what your folks are about. Like,
we want to do everything we can to get them in, give them an opportunity.
And like, and in some situations, as the listing agent, it makes sense that I tell you what these other offers are. Because again, my job, not always, doesn't always make sense to share information, but like, sometimes it does.
Yeah, and that's a big, I think, misunderstood part of our business is agents often don't think they can offer information with another buyer's agent. And if you've gotten the permission from your seller to disclose that information and share information, you can absolutely do that. It's called offer shopping, right? And there's so many agents that think you can't share terms of an offer, and you absolutely can
100%.
under the right circumstances. And again, going back to leverage, it's about when and whether and how you decide and should use that leverage, whether you do that or not. And that only comes from experience and having sold hundreds and hundreds of properties,
100%.
right?
Yeah,
So,
no, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, most people don't lose negotiations because of bad luck. They usually because of bad positioning.
100%.
That's just the way it is. And not one of two situations are the same. They're all vastly different. But yeah, it's kind of a bummer when, you know somebody costed their clients money.
Yeah. Yeah. And on the flip side of it, when it always sucks to lose a deal, right? When you're in a competitive situation and your client ultimately doesn't get that property, it sucks, right? Because if it's one they really wanted, they're disappointed. But if you knew exactly what number that was going to take to get it and it wasn't right for them, then you feel better about it, right? Because you did everything you could and you got them all the information available, and ultimately you were able to decide, well, this isn't right. We're not willing to go there right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's my job. My job is to get you as much information as I can, and it's up to you to make the decision.
Yep.
For sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and it's like sometimes too, I feel like people lose because they get bad advice.
Oh yeah.
I feel like there's a hidden cost of cheap real estate advice.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. Free advice is usually the most expensive.
Very much so. It can be very pricey. And I mean, the thing is too, man, it's like, I think most of this advice is like well-intended. I don't think it comes from like a place of like, I think it comes from a place of love. I think people, they get this information, they get advice from their family, their friends, their coworkers.
Yeah.
And it's genuinely coming from a place of love, but like you're getting advice from someone who's not in the trenches doing this every day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's dangerous.
Yep.
That is very, very dangerous.
Yeah, 100%. It's tough though, right? Because there's emotions tied in that. And especially when it's coming from a family member, a mother, a father, somebody that's very close to them. It's hard for them to not listen to that advice.
100%. Yeah, it is.
And understanding, the emotions that are wrapped up in that. But, again, often that advice is not.
I've seen people miss out on houses that they love, like really great opportunities.
And that would be great for them.
That would be so great for them. Really great opportunities. Obviously, knowing my heart's in the right place, I would keep our job is to keep our clients safe and protected.
Yeah.
Knowing that I've done all that right, and this would be a really great opportunity for their family, and watching them walk away or lose out on it because, they've gotten bad advice. Because it doesn't feel bad in the moment. It feels like they're doing the right thing in the moment, but that's the dangerous part. Is it feels like it's the right thing to do is listening to your uncle, your mom, your dad, not Kevin that I went to high school with, or went to I met
Yeah.
So I get that it's tough, but it's it's hard to watch sometimes when people lose out on really good opportunities.
That's tough to navigate though. And as an agent, I've found myself really leery about pushing back in those situations, right? Well, especially with newer clients, because you have some trust built with them, but you're not their dad, right?
Right.
And so
exactly.
and so they think that whoever that person is they're listening to knows what they're talking about. And again, like you said, oftentimes it comes from a place of love. It's definitely from a place of caring, but it's often someone who is misinformed, right? Who
it's an unqualified opinion.
100%.
Yeah. And I'm not going to look you in the face and be like, yeah, well, your dad's wrong.
But he is.
But he's wrong.
He's wrong.
Dad's wrong.
Yeah.
And look, I've learned that success in this business is stemmed from the amount of hard conversations you can have.
Yep.
So I've gotten really, really good at really hard conversations. And so there's a way that you can say that without saying your uncle's an idiot and he's wrong.
And again, it depends on where you are in that relationship with your client, how much trust you've built.
100%.
Because if you push too much up front before that trust is solidified, you're going to lose a client over it. And
100%.
For clients that you've got more trust with, that you've built over a long relationship, then your opinion goes further. And obviously we try to earn a good reputation and by doing right by clients. And that's the only way to overcome that. But it's so tough because again, there's so much, emotional weight tied in to those decisions, one, and then, who might be giving that advice too.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of emotional weight, I've been navigating recently, it feels like, a lot of divorce situations.
Mm-hmm.
What is your approach? Like, how do you approach those? We're talking about trust and emotions, and I find that like in those divorce situations, all of those things live there.
Yeah.
What's your approach to those types of situations?
Yeah, fortunately or unfortunately, I've helped a lot of clients through divorce in those situations. I couldn't even tell you how many over the last 10 years, but a lot. And it's tough, right? Because there's so many emotions tied up in moving on from that chapter of your life. And even the most amicable divorces often aren't at the end, right? So, and you see it all. You see it, everything from like they aren't speaking to each other up front to they're still best friends and everything in between. So, my goal and my job, what I tell them up front is to not choose sides, number one, right? I'm not choosing sides between you. I am helping you close this chapter and move on to the next one. And I do that by staying neutral and advising you both equally, because that's something that's really tough too. So typical process that I've found is one of the spouses calls you, right? Like you have a connection and one of them reaches out and they are the one that is decision-making, driving the bus on getting the property listed, getting the photos. The other spouse often has already moved out, right? And so I've found that it's very important to make sure that both parties know that you are representing them both.
That's the
right?
first thing. That's the first conversation.
I have. This is great. We're going to work together. I think I can help you, but I need to have a conversation with the other party. Yep. They need to know I got their back too. 100%. That I am in the middle and I'm doing everything I can to help you guys again move on to the next chapter of your life.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That's usually the conversation I have at if I can get them together. We try and have that like together face to face at the kitchen table, right, or whatever. Because in most cases, it's amicable, but still,
I've had some bad
when
ones.
there's money and there's money and there's timelines and targets that you've got to hit, like things get slippery.
And things change along the way. I mean, again, there's so much emotions and baggage tied up in that situation that it can flip on a dime.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I kind of like you, I've had really good success dealing, like, fortunately, unfortunately. I take a little bit of pride that I'm trusted with something like that, because I feel like every divorce situation that I've ever resolved, it has been, they 1000% know that I am not choosing a side.
Yeah.
I'm very by the book, very neutral, and my job is to get you to the finish line.
it doesn't matter what's led to this. It doesn't matter the background and the backstory and why you've come to choose this path. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me.
100%.
And I'm not taking sides. I'll tell you what's funny. Well, not necessarily funny, but I've even had people write in part of their divorce decree that if there's a tie and they can't come to an agreement and a decision, that I get to make the decision.
Yep.
And that's something too, because they gotta really know you got their best interest at heart. Because again, tough decisions are being made and it's a tough situation to begin with. They're not always going to see eye to eye.
And they all have different goals. Like, everybody's about to enter a unknown new chapter of life.
Yeah.
So everybody has, different goals and different things. And I mean, I feel like if I've done my job right, I've helped both of these people enter into this new chapter of life as clean and easy as possible.
And that's the word, easy. My goal in those situations, because it's already a stressful, difficult situation, my goal with moving on from the house and disposing of the house is to make it as easy and stress-free as possible in the middle of an extremely stressful situation.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a good saying is, right, like, you're not navigating a transaction, you're navigating a life change. And that's so true.
Very true.
It's not just a transaction, it's a life change.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep. And I mean, it feels good to be there for people when life gets heavy. Mm-hmm. That we're those people that are trusted and called.
And life gets heavy.
It gets so heavy. It really does.
Tough. We haven't talked about a lot of personal stuff on here, but life gets tough, man.
It does get tough, man. It really does. And, I find it a lot easier now to just show people grace, show people mercy. And, another thing is...
Be kind. Be kind to people.
Be kind. Yeah. And look, when you're in those situations and I'm sitting at your kitchen table, nobody else is going to know about this.
Yeah.
Like, unless you want them to know about it, everything that we discuss is 100% confidential.
Yep.
We are not, like, I'm not going home even to my family. Because in a lot of these situations, and I know friendships overlap, like, some of the same people, and, like, sometimes, man, we're the first people to know about divorces, about babies.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just
about people moving out of town,
people get new job changes.
Get new job. I can't tell you how many times, because again, I don't share that kind of stuff even with Roseanne, my wife, right? Like, I keep that information private, and how many times, we see somebody towards the end of the transaction or right after transaction's closed, and they're like, oh, whatever. She's like, oh, I didn't even know about it. They're like, oh, he didn't tell you?
I'm like, no.
She's like, no, he doesn't tell me anything.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the way it's got to be.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
That's the way it's got to be, because we've built our businesses on that level of trust.
Right.
Wouldn't be sitting in this chair talking to you if it wasn't for people. That's a hard thing to get, but an easy thing to lose.
Yep.
So it all comes down to trust.
Mm-hmm.
Trust is key. Trust is key.
That is a fact. So we had wanted to also talk, I guess, about...
well, speaking of trust, yeah. I mean, no more person than you trust to be the executor of your estate.
Right.
It's like, speaking of trust, I mean, who could you trust more?
Yeah.
It's funny, though. I feel like everybody in those situations, like when we're talking about trust and estates, things like that. So I I feel like everybody thinks they're the executor of an estate. I feel like a lot of people don't know what that means.
Yeah, that word is thrown around a ton, right? You talk to somebody that needs to sell, a property that's where someone has passed, right? You always hear that. Well, I'm the executor. That's not always true, right?
I mean, even if you are named the executor, that doesn't mean that you are right now.
Well, it doesn't mean you have power of sale. You
Power
can
of
be
sale
named
is in
the
most
executor,
bookies.
but if they don't have power of sale in that will, then it's it's meaningless for disposing of the property because without that power of sale, it would be no different than me signing on
Until
behalf.
probate is done, most cases until probate is done, you can't make handshake deals, you can't talk to real estate agents, you can't sign contracts until you're through probate.
Well, assumptions in real estate or assumptions in estate situations are where you run into problems, right?
Yep.
If you assume,
Yep, 100%.
Again, fortunately or unfortunately, I've handled a ton of these, and the very first thing I do when I speak to somebody and they tell me, "Hey, I'm the executor, I am selling my mother's house," or whatever it is, the very first thing I ask is, has the will been probated? Do you have power of sale? Regardless of those answers, the next thing is, can I have a copy? I'd really like my title attorney to look over this because sometimes there are things in there that can cause us problems later, and I'd rather go ahead and have it cleared up front so we know we're good to go. For instance, if they don't have power of sale, they have to go to the court to get power of sale. And sometimes that comes with a wait period, right? So not only a wait period to get in front of a judge to grant power of sale, but if there's not a will and they have to appoint that person to be an administrator or administratrix of the estate to dispose of the property, then once you go under contract, you have to go back in front of a judge to approve the contract. And then there's a 30-day wait period that you can close on the 31st after that. So it's being able to set proper expectations. And even on the buy side, when I'm representing a client in those situations, I'm asking the listing agent those questions. Have you seen a copy of the will? Has a title attorney reviewed it? Where are you in the process? Because again, we need to know, can we close this in 30 to 45 days or is it going to be longer? And then also, who is signing on behalf of the estate, right? There could be multiple heirs. I've done one with as many as 15 before, and it requires sometimes all of those signatures. So you could have a lot of decision makers for a piece of property. And again, knowing who you're dealing with and what the situation is going in helps to keep problems from happening down the road that can sometimes kill a deal.
That's why having the right team,
Yep.
the right title attorneys, the right agent, and the executor all on the same page can make all the difference.
Clarity up front prevents chaos later.
100%.
And, we have obviously a very close relationship with a pretty big title company in town, and they're our go-to. I mean, I can't tell you how much we lean on them in situations like this.
In all situations.
In all
really.
situations,
They're
but
so great.
especially situations like this,
For sure.
because they can get us an answer like that, and they are more than happy to review and step in and help, and that helps our clients immensely.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Sweet, man. All right.
So where are we going next, buddy?
I think I think episode 3 is wrapped.
You think?
I think it is.
Okay. That was a good one. I think we talked on a lot of topics, a lot of emotional stuff, feels like today.
We did. Yeah, it was good. It was good.
I think overall, though, the earlier we're involved, the less problems that you have down the road. The earlier you get your trusted advisor involved in the process in every situation, the smoother things tend to go.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. No, I 100% agree. Getting us involved as soon as possible because we can connect all the dots. We can answer all those unknown questions because, like you said, making assumptions is the quickest way to get yourself in a bad spot that could have been completely avoided.
100%.
with divorces, with estates, honestly, with even just putting your house on the market,
Yeah.
starting your home search. I think if you trust us enough to handle, we need to be the first call.
For sure.
We need to be the first call. We can help you avoid so many headaches, so many mistakes. There are good lenders, there are bad lenders, there are good, there's just good title attorneys, bad title attorneys. We can just help you avoid so much.
Well, and also I think there's a misconception that and maybe well earned by some of the bad agents around that it is just a sale to us, right? It's just a transaction, and that we have a desire to sell you a house, and that's not what we do.
Not at
I mean, I have an advisory role. I'm your advisor, and in this role, it is to help you buy or sell a house, right?
Sales tactics aren't even used on clients.
No.
They're used on other agents.
100%.
They're used, really on other agents. They're not used on our clients.
Other agents and other people involved in the process.
People involved in the process. Lenders, appraisers, all of that stuff.
And especially when you're buying, the earlier we get involved, the better, because there is a learning period, right? Especially if you've been out of the market a while, maybe to where you need to be exposed to the market and see what's out there well in advance of when you're ready to make a decision. So then you can target those areas that fit your needs and those price points where they are located, especially if it's been a long time since you've been in the market. There's a pretty big learning curve, right?
Yeah.
And the earlier we can get with you to set up a search and can not necessarily go out and show you a bunch of properties if you're 6 months down the road, but at least so we can start targeting some areas that you really like and that will work for you. So then when you are a little closer to making that decision, pulling the trigger, we're way ahead of the game. And I think that's, again, it goes back to everything we've been talking about. Staying ahead of that curve makes it way easier when it comes time. So
100%.
The earlier we can get involved, the better.
Absolutely.
Yep. This was a good one.
All right. Episode 3 is wrapped.
Yep.
See you guys on episode 4.
See ya.